Hello everyone, Prime here, and I hope you had a great day, because today we're going to be talking about the Vanir god, Freyr. Some facts about him, lore, and all of that good stuff. So, Freyr was a handsome and mighty Vanir god, arguably the strongest god that the Vanir had to offer. He made the seasons, according to mortals, fertilized their fields, and was generally just loved by people. He owned a powerful sword that could fight for itself without a master, that being that no one actually had to be holding the sword for it to be slaying someone, defending someone, or just be generally useful in that. Gullinbursti, a boar with golden bristles made by Brock and his brother, pulled along his chariot that could run faster than any horse, and thanks to its golden bristles, the boar was capable of riding at full speed through darkness, i.e. nighttime, which was just an added perk. Skivblivnir, a ship made by sons of Ivaldi, could carry the entire Aesir pantheon of gods. Whenever it sailed, the winds were almost always fair, and he could even fold the ship up like a cloth for ease of carrying. Just imagine the utility that could give you. In Alfheim, his home was a pride and joy, unique in comparison to the other homes and residents of Alfheim, and he was one of the few gods who the elves genuinely liked enough to respect. He was considered to have an overlord status there. Freyr had multiple, but the most famous, or the one that seems to pop up the most here, is Skirnir, who gave him wise counsel, and wasn't exactly an ugly looking chap either. In God of War, Freya is missing from Alfheim after we liberated from the control of the Dark Elves. When you explore the temple after returning to Alfheim with Mimir and Atreus, you can find a scroll saying, "The light is ours again," but there is no time to lose. Only the return of Lord Freyr can secure peace. Surely we are liberated by forces sent forth at his command, like the Sword of Legend. But Freyr himself remains lost, and we must now come to his aid. Some believe he has returned to Vanheim, whilst others believe he is held in Asgard. Both paths are found shut. With the temple secure, all elfkind is away to seek out our lost lord. When you go to travel between realms, it's noted that Odin has prevented access to Asgard for obvious reasons. It's not like he would allow any sort of threat into Asgard, considering how paranoid he seems to be, according to Mimir and Freya. Svartalfheim and Vanaheim are also locked off as well, though. It's explained that the idea that the Dark and Alive Elves coming from different realms is actually false.
Clear this up for me. Svartalfheim means land of the Dark Elves, right?
Right.
But you said the Dark Elves have been here in Alfheim a really long time. And anyway, aren't dwarves supposed to be from Svartalfheim? They don't look like Dark Elves.
Don't you think so? Then you are vastly more perceptive than the Aesir. They're the ones who apparently can't tell the difference. And they're the ones who came up with that name. Dwarves actually call their home realm Nidavellir.
So the Dark Elves aren't from Svartalfheim at all?
Not even a bit. They're just elves of another colour. Nobody knows who came first, but they all come from Alfheim.
With this being the case, and all of the things that Odin has seemed to be doing and setting up, it makes sense as to why he wouldn't want anyone to discover that perhaps these two races are indeed both coming from Alfheim, because that could seriously mess with the control and all of his plans that he's setting up. Norse mythology gives us another reason as to why Freyr could be missing. Skirnir and Freyr both travel to Odin's hall in Asgard, and whilst Odin is together in the feasting halls with the warriors, Freyr and Skirnir sneak off to have a seat in Hilskjall, Odin's great throne from which he can pretty much see everything that's going on in all of the realms. When Freyr looks to the south, the east, and the west, he doesn't see anything particular that piques his interest, because up until this point, nothing can satisfy Freyr. He might have all of these amazing things like a ship that he can fold like cloth and carry easily, a sword that can pretty much fight on its own without a master, good looks, the love of people, and just being a generally mighty and respected warrior, but none of these things ultimately satisfied him and made him happy. But on that throne he found the one thing that made him finally feel somewhat, or exactly, satisfied. The thing that he had been searching for so long. Once he stepped down from the throne, Skirnir noticed a certain look on Freyr's face. A look that terrified the servant. They said nothing when they returned home to Nord's hall. For 3 days, Freyr said nothing. He refused to eat. he refused to drink, and he said nothing to even Skadi or his own father. But after these 3 days, Nord was very concerned, and decided to ask Skirnir to complete his actual duties, because ultimately Skirnir was one of his servants, and pretty much ordered Skirnir to ask Freyr what was the problem. Now Skirnir was of course somewhat concerned about what might happen if he bothered Freyr, but decided to comply with Nord's commands and spoke to him. Eventually, Skirnir discovers that Freyr was pretty much lovesick. What he gazed upon was a particular giantess, her name being Gerd, a daughter of Gymir, an earth giant, and Orboda, a mountain giant. She was so beautiful that Freyr was depressed because he didn't have her at that very moment. In return for his great sword that was very famous and very valuable, Skirnir offered to talk to this giantess on Freyr's behalf and return with her hand in marriage. And he succeeds in this. She agrees, but says that she'll wed Freyr in 9 days. And Freyr is depressed for these 9 days as well. But once he meets this giantess, he becomes very satisfied, very happy. And all of his dreams and everything that he thought might happen, all of his hopes being with this giantess, come into fruition. And so he might be missing in God of War for those more selfish reasons. So one important character that would be arguably close to Freyr, that's already in the game and plays a fairly significant role in the game, is Freya, another Vanir goddess. Of course, they are brothers and sisters in Norse mythology, and I don't see why this would be any different in the game itself. Both of their boars were created by dwarves, but different dwarven teams, where Brock and Sindri most likely created Gullinbursti Hildisthini. Freya's boar was created by Dawin and Nabi. Freya's boar also has other skills. The only reason why we're talking about the boars is because Freya mentions this after you have Atreus shoot Hildisthini.
Hold here, please. Hold, I said, he's losing blood. The last of his kind in all the realm, and you shoot him.
Now it's true that, as I said, they had different creators, but assuming that the boars are alike in any way, and Freya is aware of this and she knows this, then perhaps she would have, or the boars would have, some method or way of telling if another boar is nearby, or some method of communication or link like that. If that's true, then Freya might be able to know if her brother, or at least her brother's boar, would have arrived on Midgard or be somewhere on Midgard. If that's the case, then Freya's probably not on Midgard. And see, within the story of God of War, the Vanir and the Aesir gods were at war, but Freyr and Odin married to establish some sort of peace. Now, after the marriage was ended because of differences between Freya and Odin, Odin took away a lot from Freya. She took away her ability to fight, her status and the love of her people were pretty much lost, and they were lost purely because of the fact that thanks to the marriage, Odin most likely claimed some sort of possession or dominion over Freya's land, that being Vanaheim, thanks to the marriage. And also Odin was taught several Vanaheim magics, which in Norse mythology is part of the reason for the stalemate there. And a similar situation of hostages being traded and peace being established like that is how the war is solved in Norse mythology. But the stalemate was created in Norse mythology thanks to the fact that the Aesir gods were, in terms of physical might, able to be a very powerful force and a force to be reckoned with. But the Vanir, thanks to their magic, were equally strong, and no side could really get an advantage over the other. Hence, the trading of the different gods. But in the God of War timeline, this agreement that ended the war gave the Aesir gods pretty much all the power, which is why the Vanir gods aren't particularly fans of Freya, and she's very well aware of this.
The Vanir were the greatest threat to the Aesir until our marriage brokered peace. Many of the Vanir now think I betrayed them, the fruits of my sacrifice. To be hated by my own kind, to trap me here, is to ensure I can never make it right.
So there's a good possibility that Freya's brother, despises Freya, and simply has no desire to communicate with her or talk to her. But, for whatever reason Freya has gone missing, that was his video. I hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, go ahead and leave a like. And of course, if you're new to the channel, go ahead, subscribe for more content. If you want to see more God of War videos, I've made a video on Thor, one on Jormungandr, and a few other videos as well, so you can go ahead and find some of those videos in a card. And until the next video, have a very good day. I have been Prime, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.